There's always the awkward part. All right, here we go.
Oh,
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 1 of my new interview show that's so new. It doesn't even have a name yet, but it will soon. Today, I'm joined by an old friend, Jazmine Tricoche. I'm going to let her kind of get into what her businesses are and what she does and all that fun stuff. But this is a pretty exciting conversation because Jazz and I haven't probably connected in about 10 years. We used to work together back in corporate life. So anyways, what's up, Jazz?
What's up? What's up, everybody? I am Jasmine. They call me Dream these days. I am the owner and CEO of two successful businesses. I am the owner of the Dream Center event venue, which is my new baby. She is 1 year old and she's about 4,000 square feet. And we cater to large and small parties. We can hold up to 150 people, and we are located in Memphis, Tennessee. We're actually in a historic building. It used to be the old June Lee building, and it was like a really big accessory store back in the day. They were here for like 30, 40 years. So I have a historical building. So that gives me a little luck and a little favor on my life and my business. So that's my first business. And then my second business is I own 1-800 Dream Life Inc., which we call it Dream Life, which is a custom printing and branding company. And I specialize in helping entrepreneurs, new, aspiring, as well as seasoned entrepreneurs brand their companies, as well as I do some mentoring and coaching for those business owners that need like business basics of how to start a business.
Yeah, so the one business I was kind of doing a little bit of homework, and so I saw that you guys do web page building and logo creation, that kind of stuff.
Yes, so we are a full service provider as far as printing and branding. So like I said, I call my customers my dreamers. So most of them come to me with creative ideas or don't have an idea at all, and they pretty much want us to give life to their brand. So we specialize in, logo creations, any graphic design, website building, of course, business cards, flyers, pretty much anything, of course, apparel, labels. So pretty much anything that your new entrepreneur or a seasoned entrepreneur may need for as far as branding products.
That's cool. So you guys print shirts in-house. You guys do all this stuff in-house?
Yes, and it's so cool because when I first started, obviously I started in my house. I did start with, of course, so a little bit about my background. I actually have 12 years of retail experience. That's how I know Nick, y'all. So Nick was my district manager when I lived in New Orleans. I was a traveling area manager. So basically my role was to go hire, fire, recruit, and start over and kind of clean up a store. So I was really good at driving sales, driving traffic, and having a professional look to a store. So during those 12 years of working retail, I was like a sponge. I learned all the information that I needed because they truly, when we work for Journeys, they truly allow our store to be like our little store. We did our own recruiting, our own hiring, our own firing, our own displays, pretty much, of course, with their own parameters. And so it's crazy because I started my company with $500 in 2012. I was still working for Journeys. And so I was doing it, but I always been doing my business full time, working on it full time. But I've only been a full time entrepreneur without a corporate job for the last 4 years. And I started it in my house. I started in my apartments. And then I gradually, when I moved to Memphis, I've been in Memphis for about 5 years. I was in Atlanta for 9 years. And when I first moved here to Memphis, I had an apartment. I had a goal. I said, hey, I'm going to work for corporate America for 2 more years. I was a store manager at Aldo in Oakport Mall. And I was also the store manager at Auto Glass Now on Summer. And then I left corporate America. And then when I left corporate America, everybody's like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to do my business full time. So I transitioned out of my office space out of my house into an office space, which is actually right down the street from where we are now. And then my business, I moved in that building. I was only in that building for 3 years. I moved 5 times. Every time I got bigger. And so, which was cool, and then a year ago, I took a leap of faith and I found this building. I had been looking for a while. And of course, I know the retail aspects. So I was like, I definitely can run a retail store. And so I've had this building for a year. And so the rest is history. So we pretty much print everything in-house. We also have our own merch. So it's really cool because now my dreamers are able to actually come in the store and actually consult with me and talk to me about their branding needs, and I can kind of steer them in the right direction as far as what products are good for their brand.
That's cool. That's cool. And it's so awesome to hear how successful you've been. You know what I mean? So you kind of downplay that you have not had a corporate job for 4 years, but I mean, to make the jump from corporate job to living on your own is, my favorite analogy is that it's like jumping off a cliff and building the airplane on the way down.
On the way, listen, that is the best analogy of
Yeah,
because you got to figure it out before you hit rock bottom.
Yeah, and everybody thinks you're lost your mind, and everybody thinks, you know what I mean, you're gonna fail, and they're doubting you, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, but you're the CEO, and you have the vision, and so you can, I'm gonna be able to build the damn plane on the way down. So,
right.
A lot of the so on my YouTube channel, a lot of my subscribers are gonna be either brand new entrepreneurs where most of them are still working a job, and then they're getting into the party rental industry, or they're somebody who's looking to go that route. So if you could rewind a little bit and go back to where you're still working, your retail job, you're still at Journeys, kind of what gave you the idea? What gave you the inspiration? How did you kind of get going that very, very early stage?
So Journeys is a little bit different. And I think me and you talked about this. Journeys, when I first started, I started off getting paid commission and salary. So it taught me to convince you to buy things, because if I don't convince you to buy a shoe or buy a sock or hit these SOPs or these standards of performance, then I don't get paid. And so I took that as, I guess, like I said, I became a sponge. And so I learned the process of how to sell, don't ask yes or no questions, always be suggestive, bring out an extra shoe, bring out something. If we don't have their size, don't come out empty handed. And so I applied that. So what made me start my business was I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I felt like God aligned me at Journeys because they got me when I was really young. They always trying to recruit us when we were really young and we hungry. So, so we're 20. I think I was 19 years old making like $50,000. I'm 19 years old. Like,
right.
What you mean? And then I had the potential to make even more. So anyway, in that time, I remember in 2012 or whatever, I had a different district manager than me. And so Journeys that was when Journeys and Underground merged. And so I knew that was my time to have a real life conversation with myself, because one thing I didn't like about working for corporate America is they never asked me what I wanted to do or what my goals were or where I want to be in 5 years. It was always, what can I do to help them be better? And so, so in that or whatever, I wanted to start my business. So I was like, well, at that time, that was when costume jewelry was really big. So I was like, well, let me try and test and see if I can actually sell to strangers and people. So I started my company with $500. With them $500, I bought business cards. I bought a big cartel website, and I bought accessories from this store on Buford Highway in Atlanta. Spent $500. I used to go to my hair salon, my nail salon, where I got my makeup done, and I would sell to them, and they would buy it. And then
so you're just going, like, you're just walking in like cold, like knock knock. Hey, I know you just did my hair, but
y'all going out. This is when like Chanel earrings, Louis Vuitton, the designer stuff was in, the little bling necklaces, the little sets with the rings. So I was just like, girl, I know you going out. You know what I'm saying? I got some accessories, And so I think that Journeys taught me how to be like very fearless, because you have to talk to the clients. Like in Journeys, you only had 10 seconds to talk to a customer, right? So you got to talk to them regardless of whether you want to talk or not. So anyway, so then I started getting traction on it, and I was like, okay, these people really buying from me. Like, I'm really selling this stuff, And so I did that for quite some time, kind of, I guess, trying to find my niche. So I think as an entrepreneur, it's very important for you to test and see what you're passionate about and what you would do for free without making any money if you could. And so,
I agree with that so much. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I give that advice to people all the time. They're like, well, I want to start a business, and I want to make sure it's something I love. I said, you can either start a business around something you love, which is like, this little teeny niche, or you can just go start a business to make sure you like business, and for me, when I started mine, like, now I'm passionate about inflatables. Now I'm passionate about Christmas lights. I gave two shits when I started either of those two companies. You know what I mean? but I love business so much
Mm-hmm.
that as long as it aligns with my morals, I'm a happy camper.
Right. Yeah, so that was what it was like. It was like, okay, well, I like this. I like convincing people to buy things. Like, okay, now I got to figure out where's my niche in the market. And so I remember I've always been like not super girly, but not super tomboyish. So what made me start printing was I was like, well, I like cool shirts, and women buy cute stuff all the time. Like, we spend money on bullshit all the time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just make a shirt. I'll teach myself how to print a shirt. So I would make these cute little shirts and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm getting kind of good. So I used to sacrifice. So, of course, as you know, we used to work at Journeys. They had us slaving. We was working 6-hour work weeks. We at that time, that was when we had to clock 55 hours. You work 5-day weeks, then a 6-day week, then a 5-day week. So we were clocking a lot of hours. So I had to sacrifice. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize, like, you really have to sacrifice sleep in the front end. You have to sacrifice time with your family, time with your friends, time partying, time just enjoying the things that careless people or entrepreneurs or non-entrepreneurs don't have those issues or those problems. So anyway, so I would stay up. I remember sometimes I would stay up till 6 in the morning and had to go open a store by 9, like have a cycle count the next day. Like,
and what are you doing? You're at this time, so you're staying up that late printing shirts or doing the graphic design?
I was teaching myself how to print, so I was practicing with my machines all the time. I messed up plenty of times, messed up plenty of shirts, but I was determined to get it right. And so at first, when I first started printing, I was like, okay, cool. So my thing was, when I was selling costume jewelry, I felt like I was selling somebody else's product. So I didn't feel like I was able to be creative, and I felt like I had some creativity inside of me. So that's how I started designing the shirts. So anyway, so at first I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to print baby shower shirts, family reunion shirts. It's enough people who have babies, it's enough people who get wed, get married and stuff. I'll just print some shirts for events and stuff. And then I had a client, a dreamer at that time. She had been shopping with me for quite some time. She had been getting her custom shirts from me. And she was like, Jasmine, I think you can make me a logo. And so I was like, no, I can't design you a logo. And so she was like, when you make my shirts, when you go to a typical print shop, they have a board. It's got fonts on there. You pick the font that you tell them what color shirt, what size, they're going to put the font on there. They don't care how it looks. They don't care. But I used to actually design, and I didn't realize that I was designing. I wanted you to have something cute that you could wear.
Oh, sure.
So anyhow, so she told me, she was like, I think you can design me a logo. So I was like, well, I'll try it. So I started off selling $25 logos. Because I was like, well, it takes you 30 minutes to an hour. And I didn't feel like I was I wasn't using Photoshop at that time. I didn't know about certain design programs and stuff like I do now. So I was like, well, I'll charge you $25. So she was like, okay. So I made a logo for it, and it went viral. And after that, I was just like, okay, this is my niche. So then I started researching the market, and I'm like, most print shops do only print baby shower shirts or class reunion shirts. They're known for that thing, but there's no printing company that specializes only in branding entrepreneurs or only in aspiring and getting them and actually having consultations about what branding looks like. Because when it comes to branding, that's very important. Like, Walmart name is on everything, McDonald's name is on everything. So you have to think outside of the box. You have to think about pens, notebooks. So changing the mindset of these small business owners, not to just get a shirt with your logo, get some labels made with your logo. So anyway, I say all that to say, when I was working my 9 to 5, it was very hard to find a balance, but I knew I had something. I knew that the sacrificing of sleep, I knew that was going to pay off eventually. So during that time, I used them years that I still continue to work for corporate America. I used that time to invest. So I was buying my machines. I was, upgrading my brand and myself, paying for pay ads, whatever I had to do. But I was using my corporate money to invest in my business so that eventually I would be able to leave full time.
That's super cool. And so, I mean, and the more entrepreneurs that I talk to, the more, everybody's story is obviously different, but they all kind of rhyme. But that's a huge theme to where you're going to stay in your corporate job and you have these aspiring dreams. It all looks like work. It's all super duper hard work. Mm-hmm. And when you want to do the big one, right, which is take the leap, you've got to grind super hard to make it. Yeah, I mean, sleep goes away, fun goes away,
So
birthday parties go away.
how long have you been a full-time entrepreneur?
So I left Journeys in September of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm coming up on about 2.5 years.
And I
mean,
felt it was the best decision I could ever made, though.
Oh, hands down, hands down. I mean, for me, it was, it's funny hearing you kind of say what you were saying, because I feel the same way, where like I've got all these things I wanted to do, and Journeys was all I knew, right? So I had all these things I wanted to turn Journeys into, and I would get mega frustrated, like super frustrated, because people didn't like my ideas, they didn't want to do my ideas, they went against their ideas, like that's not how we do things around here, with blah 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 blah, right? And so I always felt like, and I kind of didn't realize this until I left, but I always had this kind of in the back of my mind, where I felt like I've got a random human being that just happens to be my boss, or the VP, or this guy, that guy, whatever department, judging my idea, and we can't even do it. So once I became an entrepreneur, I'm like, oh my God, this is freedom. I can do whatever I want.
I can do whatever I want, right? You can create and test the idea, and if it doesn't work, it's okay.
Yeah, and the right or the wrong, quote unquote, is the market. Like, did it drive sales? Did it not? Did it make your life easier? Did it not? Did it add clients? Did it not? And that part is like, people ask me all the time, well, how much would it take to get you back at a corporate job? I'm like, $500,000 salary. Like, you'd have to
run
buy
me my money, because and it's so crazy too, because I think the misconception about entrepreneurship is that we're trying to get away from corporate America to work less hours or to do less work. And they don't realize, like, no, we're just trying to have some sense of control and do something that we're passionate about, while appreciating ourselves and creating a team that appreciates us. Basically, like, even with my team now, my employees that I have, like, I actually find out what it is that they want to do. What are their goals? If your goal is that, then how can I relate that to us? And how can I help you develop that? Because eventually, I don't want you to be with me for forever. I want you to grow. I want you to start your own thing if that's what you want to do. I want you to ultimately be happy. And I just think the misconception about entrepreneur life, I work hella a lot now. Of course, I work differently now because I'm able to work from my laptop, from my phone. We're able to work like what we're doing now and do really cool things and cool settings, but you still have to work. I still work at least 80 hours a work week.
Easy.
I can work, but the joy of it is that I'm doing something that's helping other people, and something that I feel like I have a value in.
Yeah, I mean, the analogy there for me is when you rent a home and you're going to go paint a room, or you're going to go, do some sort of renovation to the house that you rent. Like, you're kind of stoked that you're going to do it, but it's almost mind numbing or drudging, because you're moving out in 9 months. When you do that same thing to your own house, you take so much more pride in it, because it's yours forever, and there's no, you're not improving something for somebody else.
Right.
And that's if you go to a corporate employee and tell them that you work 55 hours or 60 hours, they're like, oh, damn, you're putting it in, huh? You go tell an entrepreneur that, they're like, oh, what, you had vacation? What, you took a 3-day week?
I mean, I literally work around the clock. Like, I can't tell you the last day that I actually did nothing that was involved in my business. Like, I'm always working. I'm always thinking about how to reach my audience, how to expand my business, how to get my message interpreted to them so that it's digestible, and so that they continue to support me and can support what I have going on. So I definitely think that being an entrepreneur is definitely hard work, but it's definitely it was well worth the investment, well worth the sacrifice. It was well worth it. Now, of course, now I tell people, like, I don't have, my company makes 6 figures. And then I also have the event venue that just made its first 6 figures. So I have 2 6-figure businesses. So financially, it's not the problem now. Now it's, how do I get time with my family? How do I get time with my friends? I got 5,000 things to do on my task list. How do I get done? How do you not feel overwhelmed with the support because I mean I literally grow every month, every week, every time I throw a sale or have a party, it grows tremendously. Like right now, my event venue, we're going through renovation, so there's no sign on my building that has my name
really?
out there. But we stay booked all the time. Like, it's like they just know that we're here, and I'm blessed for that. So, like, now as an entrepreneur, it's just a matter of now I have different problems. I don't have money problems now. I got, please, don't tell me another idea, or I'm trying to slow my brain down not to think of another idea and a way for my business to be successful. So,
yeah, that's good. Yeah, you go from in the beginning, you're like, okay, shit, I got to pay these bills. Yeah, and then my businesses have followed suit with yours too, where they're about the same scale, both of mine. So it's kind of like, okay, now we're doing good at paying bills, but it's like, okay, so let me ask you this question, because you go from that point, right? So like I said, a lot of my subscribers are new or soon to be on, and they're hearing us talk like this, and they're like, these people are crazy. They're talking about this revenue stream that they've got that's so big, right? And it hurts their brain to even think about. But I think it's a worthy thing to jump into hiring. So your team, like how many people do you have on your team? What is your,
So Dream Life, I have one employee over here. She's my printing assistant, but I also have a virtual assistant. Her name is Jen, and I also have her. So over here at Dream Life, I have 2 employees. And then over there at the event venue, I actually have an in-house event planner, and I also have a decor. So I have a full staff over there. They pretty much cover everything. And then I also have a cleanup staff.
And so so take me through kind of like whether you want to do first person you hired, your favorite way to find somebody to hire, to find the right person to hire, like what's kind of your take on hiring and all that?
Gosh, listen, so I have went through 4 assistants, and all of them, when I hired them, the reason why they're no longer with my company is because they took my company for a joke. I was just like, hey, I want you to start out part-time, but hey, we might grow in 30 days or we may grow in 60 days, and I'm going to need you to be full-time in the business. They're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then they get in a business and they get to see like I'm really growing in real life. And so they're like, whoa, wait a minute, you're moving a little bit too fast. I'm not ready, because of course they have other jobs or other things or other projects that they have on. So the girl lady that I have that works for me now is the best employee I have ever had for Dream Life. The reason why is because, so first, when I look for people, so as far as recruiting, I like to see salespeople. Journey's taught us like to go. Jasmine Irvin, my best friend and lives in Atlanta now. We used to be nosy. So we would go to the retail stores and we would act like we're going to buy something or we're going to look at something in the store. And I want to see what your customer service skills are like. So we had 2 ways of recruiting you. The first way was, your manager's nowhere in sight. So I'm just going to kick it to you straight. Hey, I work for, I'm trying to, we're looking for employees. If you're ever interested, here goes my card. But then Johnny's taught us the trick of, oh, your manager's there, your district manager's there, whoever's your upper superiors are there. So I give everybody my card. Hey, my name is Jasmine. I'm the store manager over here. The Journey's around the corner. We're just looking for some candidates, so I was just wondering if you guys have any applicants that you couldn't bring on board. Here you go. And 9 times out of 10, somebody that's listening to us out loud is a part-time employee that's unhappy and needs a job. And so I applied that to my real life recruiting. The girl that works with me now, she used to work for a boutique, and every time I would go in there, like, she really was treating it like it was her own baby. She would work overtime and not get paid. She would, stay over and not take a break instead. And of course, those are things obviously that I can fix in-house, make sure you're taking your break. But at that time, I was able to see how passionate she was about somebody else's brand. And that's what I need. I need somebody that understands the power of teamwork. So I'm looking for that leadership ability, leadership skill, but I'm also looking for teamwork. How well do you work together as a team over the overall goal? Because if this goal may not affect you or may not benefit you right now or benefit you at all, but the fact that you're looking at the bigger picture of our company matters. And so she was working at Fast for a long time, and I was trying to get her, and I was just like, listen, come over here. But I just couldn't pay her at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So then I lost one of my employees after COVID, during COVID. And so she went and got a part-time job. She left the boutique, and I was like, listen. And she actually always worked my events, but she normally just takes the money at the door. So I was very familiar with her personality as well, like as far as how she interacts with other people, accounting for my money at the door. So to see that sales piece at Fast was just like the icing on the cake. Like, yes, you're an all-around player. And so I came to her and I was like, look, I can't afford to pay you, what you want. I was like, but what I can afford to pay you is this. And you have another full-time job. Just work for me 3 days a week. I'm like, just give me 3 days a week and I'll be good. I just know that if me and you were on the same team, I'll help you get where you want to be. And you can kind of get where I want to, you can get me where I need to be, and we can kind of work on it collectively. And she actually wants to be an entrepreneur, and I see her entrepreneur skills in her. So we can work together so I can help her develop that and kind of reason with the thoughts that she's having and not make, I talk about it all the time in my journey as entrepreneur, that it took me 9 years to be as successful as I am now. But that's because I made a lot of crucial mistakes in the beginning and didn't take myself or my business serious. Always looking at it like it was a small business and never looking at it like it was big. Like even when it came to hiring, when I would hire people, Nick, I would hire somebody that I really didn't thoroughly interview them. I didn't thoroughly, I was just like, oh, okay, I know you and I think you'll be really good. And you just doing assistant work, right? You just doing what I ask you to do, not applying what I learned from the corporate America when I first started my business, kind of trying to be that nice boss instead of being the boss that I was that made me so successful at Journey. Like, no, I can't hire her. I checked her references. It didn't work out.
It's a weird thing, right? When you go to, it's like all the knowledge for whatever reason kind of goes out the door, and you start doing that dumb shit you did as a brand new store manager back when you were in your teens. I did the same thing, and like it kind of took, it took probably one bad hire for me to kind of be like, wait a minute, back up. What am I doing? Yeah. And then all of a sudden I kind of had, and I still work out of my house, you know what I mean? And I run my businesses out of 2 big storage units. So I don't have like a space to interview. And real quick, I was like, no, the coffee shop's about to be my best friend.
Yeah.
I got to go have a 45-minute conversation with you. It's my style, and I got to do it or else I start making mistakes.
Right. Yeah, I think I think when it comes to hiring, I think the number one thing is knowing when to hire. So I think when it comes to a business, your job is to sell. Your job is to find the business. Your job is to find the customer, connect with the customer so the customer supports the business. Oftentimes, I think entrepreneurs, when they first start, they're looking at it like, I want to do everything. And it's just like, if you're doing everything, if you're doing all the admin work, you're doing all the HR work, you're doing all the keeping up with inventory. If you're doing all of those things, you never have time to sell. And that was one thing about Journeys that I love the most is like during the week, all week we getting that shipment out. When it comes to weekend, my district manager does not want to come in my building and see me putting up no shoe in the wall. It's my time to sell, and so I think as entrepreneurs, they look at it like, well, I can't afford it. But if they think about, I thought about this. I had met this guy. His name is Parker. He owns Parker's Print Shop, and it's one of the biggest print shops here. And I met him at the warehouse where we pick up our shirts and stuff. Everybody goes there. And so he was like, who prints your shirts? No, he was like, if you got an order for 100 shirts, then who would print your shirts? And I was like, me. Like I'm at that time I had a really part-time assistant. So I'm like, me, I would print it, and I would probably get some of my friends to come help me. And he was like, no, your job is to sell. Your job is to find new accounts, find new bids, find new projects, find the money. That's your job so you can keep thriving. So you can afford to spend the extra $10 because by the time you pay somebody $10 an hour, $9 an hour, $15 an hour, whatever the case may be, times 30 hours, you could have made that when you were focusing on more sales or bigger accounts or how do I land this sale or let me follow up with that client. And they don't think about that. They think about right now, I can't afford that. But you really can because then you can focus on another big bag or another money play or another customer or client that you may need.
Yeah, because you don't, you as a human being doesn't scale to infinity. And so it's like, as you're doing everything in the beginning, which is what you're supposed to do, right? You're a solopreneur to start off.
Yep.
But as what the advice that I like to give people is hire one of two things. Either hire the thing that you can't stand to do, that thing that you're just like, oh dear God, if I got to do one more of these, I'm going to freak out. That's the first thing you hire. Or if there's something in your business that you're responsible for that you're terrible at, you're shitty at X.
Yep.
Like I still do all my own admin work because I'm so badass at it. My calendar is organized, my life, right? Everything I got's organized. And so I'm good. I'm like, yeah. But as soon as we get into Christmas light season, then I do hire an admin, which is shout out to my mom, my retired mom. What up, Mom? But I do hire her to then she takes over all of that stuff because at that point in time, I'm better served to be out installing because I can turn and burn and make so much more money than being in a freaking office measuring houses and giving bids and shit. Like, you know what I mean? So even though I'm good at the admin work, roughly 10 months of the year, I still hire that one out in one of my businesses because it makes sense. So but hire the thing you hate or hire the thing you suck at. And to your point, you don't lose money on payroll. Do not fear payroll, people. Do not fear payroll.
Woo! And then not even that, make them work for their money. You know what I mean? Like you got to pay what you weigh. Like my assistant, so I have an admin assistant right now, and I've gave her a raise, and she hasn't even been with me for a year yet. She'll be with me for a year in May. And I'm terrible at admin. And I have a degree in it, okay? And I'm horrible at admin. And so, I know that was like my weak point. And so I knew that I didn't have time to keep up with a calendar. And, so she sends all my invoices for the event venue. So obviously, like I told you, the venue is very new. So it's like starting a business all over again. It's like learning a new baby, learning something new. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, on every invoice, I got to put this on there. On every contract, I got to change the name, change the date, change the terms. I'm just like, I can't do this. So I realized that that's time that I don't have. I could be spending that time doing something else. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs too, they have to be quick on their feet. You have to be able to respond to your business. Oftentimes people aren't ready for, like you said, when your busy seasons are. So you're bootstrapping, like, hey, Mom, I need you to help me do this admin work because I'm about to start getting busy. And when you have a business, you have to be able to respond and make executive decisions, almost like jumping out the plane. You made a decision to jump out the plane. So you got to figure it out before you hit rock bottom, and you have to apply that to every aspect of your business.
And it goes fast too, as you like in the early days of being an entrepreneur, shit is slow and you can just kind of tinker. As soon as you get to scale, like, and as soon as you get to, for me, it was about $80,000 revenue a year. At that point was where it was like, holy God, like you're hit with so many, I don't want to say problems, but like you almost change from entrepreneur to firefighter. Every time the phone rings and it's one of my guys, I'm like, oh shit, they crashed the truck. They forgot the thing, right? And you answer it, and 99% of the time, it's obviously not something bad, but you start to get into the mode where it's like, that's what you are a problem solver. And so as you're a young entrepreneur, my suggestion would be just get used to tinkering and playing with stuff, because once it gets to scale and there's other human beings below you, the stuff can fall through the cracks very quickly.
Yep. So
very cool.
So I know we were talking about the subject we were talking about with staffing. I think that's something that a lot of business owners struggle with too. Is like, how do we recruit? So I'm hoping that they're watching this video, that they learn the tactic of going in the stores and stuff. Because some people, they tell me like they can't find people, and I'm like, it's people out here. You just got to find them and recruit them. Like, back when we worked for Journeys, like that was a requirement. Like even when we were fully staffed, we still had to be recruiting. We still had to be having, people on the lineup just in case a part-timer falls out or whatever the case may be, especially with what I did. I was an area manager, so I always had to stay recruiting and, finding new prospects and stuff. So I just think it's important that you think outside the box, but also like interviewing is very important. I actually use some of the things that journeys like they ask about real life questions. So they used to have us ask like, tell me about a difficult time that you had to deal with a difficult customer and how did you respond to that situation. But I need you to give me a specific time, because one, that's gonna let me know if you lying or not. Two is gonna let me know how, and then what was the lesson or what did you learn out of it. So I think just having a quality recruiting and then having a quality interview and writing down what are those attributes and those things that you need to make sure that they possess, in order to be able to be successful in their role in your company.
That's huge. If you just go in, right, especially in the beginning, you're looking for a freaking warm body. You're just like, I can't do this other task I hate so much, so I just need a human being. But if you go in and if you just kind of have an idea of what you portray to clients, that needs to be the model or the culture of the company. And you've got to go hire with people that can do it naturally.
Yeah.
Or else you start getting frustrated that they're not treating your people correctly, or you get frustrated they're not doing a good enough job.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that shit's your fault because you hired a person that's not going to be good with people.
And we had so I take business class on Thursdays at the bank, and we talked about that last week because the lady was like, so at Journeys, right? So at Journeys, you get a verbal warning, you get a written warning, and then you're terminated, just depending on the terms of whatever the case may be. And so the lady was like, she just fires her employees. Like, if they don't do something right, she just fires them. And I'm just like, oh, no, don't. You have to, first you get a handbook that says the guidelines as far as how the system goes or how it works. And then the second thing is you have to hold them accountable, because I have an employee, or if I had an employee before where I wrote her up one time and we never had that problem ever again. So you just have to set that standard and not give up on your people. You have to find out where they're strong at and where they're weak. Just because she's not good at admin work, she may be good at packing orders for you. Find out your as a leader, that's your job to make sure that you align your people in the right places, in the right positions.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. And it's frustrating to have, and I understand, like I go through it too. I have, somebody that's not good at something, then they do it wrong. It's frustrating, but if you take that step backwards and get them where they need to be, it'll be better for them and better for you in the long run. Mm-hmm. You got something going on? Or are you still?
No, you're fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because we're at 37 minutes here, so we'll start winding it down. So, do you want to plug anything? Do you have anything going on? I know you've got events and stuff at your venues.
I always have so much going on. So since I've had this event venue, my friends always want me to have events and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out how to bring all my dreamers together and always connect with them. So I have a couple of different projects that I'm working on. My first project is me and my friend Amanda Avery at Bluff City Magazine. We're actually creating an organization, a program, almost like a school. And so we're going to have live curriculum, and it's going to be a 10-month program. And I'm very excited about it, launching in April. And we are able to help entrepreneurs. So help you with the business basics. And our thing is we want to connect you with other like-minded individuals. We want to help you build your company, but not only that, we want to scale your company. So that's something that's coming in April. So I'm excited about that. We're actually testing it out on our brand ambassadors as far as the curriculum for the next 2 months. And so I'm excited to launch it because a lot of people need it in Memphis. Number two, I have a business class that I do every year. And I have 6 panelists this year. So I'm excited about that. But we'll talk about the fundamentals of business. And I actually have a business workbook that's going to be launching for the event. And it gives you a 30-day planner as far as setting guidelines, prioritizing those deadlines, prioritizing your goals. And so during that meeting, we'll talk about the business basics, the steps that I missed, like getting the EIN number, getting your business license, getting a resale license, paying taxes,
the fun stuff,
bank account. Because I remember, so for the first 4 years, my business is so sad to say, the first 5 years, my business is so sad to say that I don't remember how much money I made. I don't have any account of it. I can't tell you. If I say a number, I'm lying because I don't know. And so then I realized how important it was to have a business bank account because when COVID happened, not all of that, whatever the case may be, I'm glad that I did have it in line, but it took me so long because when I went and bought my car, I had to be a personal guarantor because I didn't have a business bank account to show that, hey, I was making this money and that my company was profitable. I didn't have P&Ls. I wasn't accounting for my expenses, and even when I first started tracking my sales, I was only tracking my sales. I wasn't tracking my expenses and how much is the bottom line profit. And so anyway, so at my meeting, at my business class, it's March 27th. They can always go on 1-800-DREAMLIFE.com. It is a virtual option as well. So it will be an option for them to be able to take it live at their house or in the comfort of their home. So we have that on March 27th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then I'm actually doing something really cool that I launched yesterday, which is the Think Tank. And it's going to be called the Think Tank Memphis. And so what it's going to do is, so since I've been an entrepreneur, when I used to be in my old office, Nick, I used to have like my customers, they would just come and they would bring their laptop. And they'll really get some work done. They would sit on the floor. And so I was like, well, maybe y'all vibing off my energy, or whatever. And so I'm trying to create like a co-working space for entrepreneurs because I think oftentimes we just need somebody to say, yeah, I like that flyer. Or no, I don't like that flyer. Add the logo here. Or why don't you change this? So I'm creating a free think tank session, 2 of them in February and March, where people come to my event venue since I have the event venue, and we'll all sit down and we'll just be creative. They'll bring their laptops, notebooks. They can get some work done. They can ask questions. They can connect with other individuals that may be in the same industry or may be facing the same problems, just to give them something, a comfort zone, a comfort place to be able where there's no judgment. We're just all here to literally help each other. So those will be the projects that I'm working on. Of course, they can always follow me on 1-800-DREAMLIFE, and they can always go on my website at 1-800-DREAMLIFE.com in order to stay updated. They can also sign up via text or email for our subscription so that they stay updated. And we also do lives Wednesday at 2 p.m. Every week I go live, and we'll do every other week I have a guest. And we'll talk about something dealing with business. So we've talked about payroll, we've talked about organizing and financing, and then the next week I'll talk about something inspirational, as far as, how important to be around like-minded individuals. It's okay to not be okay. So just subjects of that, just being very transparent as an entrepreneur. And that would be the advice that I would give to your followers and your the entrepreneurs that are aspiring or current new entrepreneurs is be authentic, be transparent, and own where you are. Because like me and Nick, we talk about how we have been in corporate America, how we hardly ever applied it when we first started, how we're applying it now, and the mistakes that we've made. And I just think everybody has a story. And the more that you become more comfortable with talking about your story and the mistakes and the trials and tribulations and adversities, people are going to relate to you more, and they're going to be more apt to follow you and want to be a part of whatever you have going on, because that's what they want. They want to see positive vibes and positive results and want to be around positive people. So that would be what I would tell your followers.
Love it. Well, we'll wrap it up.
I'm so glad that we're alive,
I know.
Listen.
I know, we had some good times back in the day, dude. I remember you said something on Facebook or something about Jasmine Irvin. It's true OG. Shout out to you, Jasmine. But you said something about Jasmine, and I was like recruiting her or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I forgot that whole freaking story. Like, I remember that. And you were like, yeah, my girl Jasmine, she works over there. She runs the thing. She's from Atlanta too. And I'm like, slow down. You know the manager of another store, and you're trying to grab your shit. Let's go. We're going to meet her right now.
Was the store manager, and I sure recruited her. I think I had bought some pants or a shirt or something, but her customer service was just like absolutely impeccable. And so I was like, listen, we're gonna get her. Like she's gonna work for us. And I want to personally thank you. Thank you for holding me accountable. Thank you for always being a passionate district manager. Like, you are one of the coolest, youngest, passionate district managers that were result driven, but you allowed us to be us. You allowed us to run the store as long as we had the results. And so I appreciate that, because you taught me to teach that to my staff. Like, hey, I don't care how it gets done, as long as it gets done the right way and it's done correctly and my customers are satisfied. And so I think that that's important. And so I just appreciate you allowing all your district managers, like Jasmine loves you too, so we talk about you all the time, and in our short time of working together, I just appreciate how good of a district manager you are, and that you were. And I'm also very proud that to see your superior do their own thing is so life-changing. Like, my mindset after I knew we were going live is just completely different, because I really can't believe that we are both full-time entrepreneurs and we decided to take control of our lives and create the life that we wanted to live. It's just so fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and I appreciate the kind words. It was good times back in the day, man. I enjoyed working with you a lot. And I always remember you because of how absolutely fearless that you are. Like, you just go for it, and you're gonna win, and it's inspiring. So I appreciate you, and I've loved reconnecting with you, man.
Yeah, because when I had that New Orleans store, I didn't know if I was gonna make it out, man. That was the hardest store I've ever ran. I mean, we had problem after problem after problem. I mean, I think that was the only store we literally had to can the entire store.
Yeah, and there was, and I don't remember. Yeah, and I don't remember what was going on at the time, but it was like you couldn't, and you weren't working for me yet. We hadn't been realigned, but for whatever reason, you couldn't win. Like, my store couldn't win, your store couldn't win, and I just remember being like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was. And then as soon as we started working together, there was like Mardi Gras popped, and then it was on, and it was like we didn't lose a day.
We got Jasmine in there, and she just kept on. I'm like, okay, Nick, my time is up. Jasmine's gonna keep it rolling. And I'm super proud of her too. I talk about it all the time. One of my biggest dreams is to be able to buy her from Journey. So Journey's better look out, because I'm coming for her.
Yeah.
I want to be able to get her. I want to be able to pay her not only more money than they do, but to be able to value her, because I think that she's a really great manager and a great asset. And I mean, I've always loved her leadership abilities and her leadership style. So shout out to you for, coaching and developing great bosses like us. And now we see you being a great boss out here.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So, all right, well, we'll jump off here. Jazz, don't get off. You'll go to the studio after I end the live. But for everybody out there in YouTube world, and then this will also be cross-posted on my podcast, appreciate you. Please subscribe, do all the things, like, comment, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know how to do it.
Like, comment, share. Show us that you
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.